Hey everybody, what's up, what's up, what's up? It's a little right about now happening. Zach's joining us today. Hey
Mhm.
Zach, what's happening?
How are you, man? It's good to see you again.
Good. It's good to see you. I always love hanging out with you any chance I can get. So
Well, that makes you're the one.
I thought you were gonna say that makes one of us.
You're the one, so I'm appreciative.
What's been going on? I mean, I feel like we're very busy right now. I know you, ESPN Arkansas, Ruskin and Zach. You're going 90-0 right now with all the sports that are
Yeah,
happening, right?
we have a nice little lull during the summer where you've got literally nothing going on. You can kind of recharge your batteries a little bit. But once the school year starts, it's football, then basketball, then you're into baseball and all the things that go with it. But yeah, it's every day, 7 days a week. You're off doing something somewhere. But Derek and I say this all the time, we work in the sandbox of life.
Yeah.
We don't work for a living. And I was told a long time ago, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
We thoroughly enjoy what we do. I work with two of my best friends in the world, and we laugh more than we probably should.
Yeah, that's a good thing though. So I guess you often say that your show, Ruskin and Zach, it's really a lifestyle show, and sometimes you talk about sports, right? Or you have some kind of pitch that you say.
Yeah, and when Derek and I first sat down and started to chart out what we wanted to do, and I'd never worked afternoons before. I spent a career in radio in the mornings, and you're always the first voice people hear. And by 2:00, people have heard pretty much, I guess in the sports radio world. Up till about 2:00, you're talking about last night's events. At 2:00, you start talking about that night's events.
Right.
And Derek and I don't like that. So we talk about things that are going on in our lives. We'll throw in some sports stuff here and there, but it's really we kind of jokingly say it's ADD run amok.
Yeah.
It's cat following a laser pointer, whatever. And our listeners have caught on. It took maybe a year or so. But we've had some technological advances that have sort of pushed us along the text line where you can actually physically have a conversation with us is pretty cool. And our listeners have caught on, and they sort of understand the assignment every day. And, when we catch something, you catch lightning in a bottle, you just take off and go.
So let me ask this. I've always been curious about call-in radio shows. Do you have characters? Do you have folks who I know that person's going to call and hit me up about this?
Absolutely. And they become essential parts of the show.
Yeah.
We have a young man. He's 67, I guess he's 68 now, Joe Navoka. He's one of our ardent callers. He'll call all the time, and he'll always give us something that we can then bounce off of and spin into something else. And we've got our texters have become the lifeblood of our show because there's probably 200 to 300 of them that text in every single day, and we appreciate every single one of them do because they are part of our show. Derek and I, we jokingly say we're just ringmasters. We're conducting the acts. We take things from them and turn it into content, and it's just a 4-hour discussion.
Isn't that fun though? Somehow,
Oh my gosh.
you feel like you're because we do that a little bit with the lifestyle show too. You just kind of put everything together, and like you said, the architect. And you're showcasing the other people. Really, I don't know. It's a fun.
And I started in TV. That was my what I wanted to do as a young man when I was at the University of Arkansas. I like everybody in sports, I wanted to go to ESPN and work in Bristol. And over time, I found radio and I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
It's a much more open format for us, and we can you can express your opinions on whatever you want, and then you can do other things, and you can you get to talk to really cool people and do really cool things, and and we don't have to be on camera,
right.
which helps a ton. But I guess now we do with the invention of YouTube and streaming and all of that's opened up other avenues for us. So now sometimes you get recognized places, and that gets uncomfortable for some of us.
Well, that's true because it used to be that radio, people would say you had a face for radio, right? And
Absolutely.
and your face was never really seen, and you could be incognito and go out into the public eye, and nobody really knew who you were.
Until they heard your voice. You were a voice in their radio, and now you become sort of a media personality, which I think Derek and I are both very uncomfortable with.
Right.
But we talk about this, and you know this because you're so good at the. You and I do things with the naturals, and you're so good at the on-the-field stuff and engaging and starting that conversation. But you can either do this or you can't. And that's one of the great things about
Good
this. You don't
point.
have to have a Harvard PhD to do this. You either can or you can't. And it's a pretty, there's a line there.
That's a good way to put it,
Yeah,
right?
and I tell people, like, when I talk to, I do a lot of stuff in high school broadcasting classes, and I tell them, look, there are more brain surgeons in Northwest Arkansas than there are people who do what Derek and I do. And you either can or you can't.
That's the truth.
it's and that's the way I kind of look at it. We have a talent. We've built an audience. We've built a show, and we love what we do. But we're also very appreciative of the fact that very few people can do this. People think they can until you get in there and you have to fill 45 minutes and keep engaging,
just talking, right?
And keep engaging an audience.
I can't tell you how many times, this is really no tea, no shade, but we'll have people who want to come and co-host the television show because one of us is out or whatever. We often ask people to come in and do it. But people will get in, and as soon as the cameras come on, they, clam up.
Yeah.
Can't really, and so it's just telling too, because I think a lot of viewers also at home don't realize that it is actually, there's something to it, right?
Sure,
Not
there
everybody
is.
can just walk in off the street.
When you're doing the close to your show, Good Day, when you're doing your close and they're counting you down, and there's no script.
No.
You've got to ad lib for 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And you're with your co-host, and you develop a rhythm with your co-host,
Right.
and you guys are professionals, and after rep after rep after
Sure.
rep, you understand how to do this. But it is difficult to fill that 90 seconds.
Absolutely.
And 90 seconds doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it really is.
Oh, man.
Because once you get your first thought out, and then you go,
Yeah.
and,
What
it's
am I gonna
hard
say
do.
now?
Yeah, exactly. You've got there's a talent to it, and some people think, well, I could go in and do X.
Right.
Maybe you could, but it's not going to be the first day. First day is really, really
First
difficult.
day is going to be hard. Yeah, you're going to be sweating bullets. Speaking of sweating bullets, I think that what we'll do is we'll save sports talk for later. There's so much of it we could
there
get
is.
to, but I know that there is a lot also happening in the world of entertainment, and you have some strong opinions on that. But I do want to get your thoughts on college football playoff. We're hitting the playoffs with the NFL.
Yeah.
So, and obviously basketball's happening right now.
Yeah, it's a great time of year. I mean, every weekend you're going to have something going on. The college football playoff, because my team is out of it, I'm not necessarily as invested in it as I once was.
Okay.
But it's been terrific, and I love college football, even though the people who are running it are actively trying to destroy it. I love college football. I think the tournament. I think the tournament needs to be tweaked. I don't think the College Football Playoff Committee has any idea what they're doing.
Right.
It's all agenda driven. You've got the Big Ten and the SEC are going to get 8 teams, regardless of how they finish. Whatever the combination is, if it's 5-3, 6-2, 4-4, whatever it is, those 2 conferences are going to get 8 teams, which is dumb.
Yeah.
It should be the 12 best teams. And obviously, my argument is not with the University of Miami. My argument was with Alabama getting in. I didn't think Alabama was that good. They lost every 3rd game this year.
And
that's not a playoff team.
And they're
to me.
out.
Yeah,
at
and
this
now they're
point.
out, and they got hammered on New Year's Day, and I couldn't have loved it anymore.
Right.
Notre Dame would have beaten
Their
Indiana
basketball
that
team
day.
got hammered this week too.
Yeah.
By Vandy. So,
not a great week to be in Tuscaloosa.
That's right. Yeah. So we got more of that talk coming up. I think right after this break, though, I know you got strong opinions on this. We're going to take a break, and we come back. We're going to talk about Stranger Things the finale. Oh, that says it all. Stay with us. We got more happening here on Right About Now.
2, 3, 4.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Still here on Right About Now. Zach still decided to hang out with us through the break. Which is
Man,
absolutely
I
amazing.
could, whatever you need, man. I'm here for you.
Oh, I'm so glad you are. And right now, we're going to talk about one of your favorite topics this week, because you came on Good Day NWA this week, and we kind of got to talking about Stranger Things, the finale. Whereas I was like, hey, it was good. I feel like the experience was a little bit different for both of us, because when I went to see it, I did go to the Malco, seeing it on the big screen, and the movie started at 10 and it ended at midnight, and midnight was a New Year's Eve. So it was very celebratory. Also, I was watching it with, like, I don't know how many, it was full.
A couple hundred people, sure.
Right? So that was fun. All of that aspect was fun. But then you started bringing up some of your grievances with it, and I vibe with those too. So break it down. What do you
Okay,
think,
now you've watched the entire series.
The whole thing.
I don't want to give away too many spoilers.
the whole thing from start
This
to
is a
finish.
decade of my life
Yes.
that I've spent with this television show, and they had me from episode 1 when Will disappeared. I thought that was a terrific open.
Oh, man.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the series peaked in season 3. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I was disappointed in the way the fifth season went and the way that it ended. But I guess I have to say my goat of season finales is Breaking Bad. I thought Breaking Bad
that's a hard one to live up to.
Breaking Bad could have ended after season 4 when Walt said, "I won." It could have ended there, but they didn't. They gave us another season, and it ended spectacularly. Loved Breaking Bad. I thought Ozark was very good.
Yeah.
So this is my
that's your benchmark.
This is my benchmark for season finales. I thought it was rushed. I thought it was it went too far in trying to wrap all of this up and tie up every single loose end. I didn't need all the grandstanding. When the world's ending, hang on, I've got a speech. All of these things, and it kept going on and on and on and on. There's some plot things that I would have done differently. Again, no spoilers. I'm glad that we did it. I don't love how it ended.
Right.
There was it felt like we were trying to force too many.
So let's say Breaking Bad is your top.
Yes.
Unless everybody kind of really pans and hates the way that Lost ended, right? So Lost could be the bottom.
Right.
Okay. So where are you putting it? If Breaking Bad is a 10 and Lost is a 0, where are you putting it on that scale?
I would put it at about a 3.
Okay, pretty low.
Now there's The Sopranos. The way The Sopranos ended I love to hate that. I thought it was terrible when it happened, but going back and I've rewatched the series about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Watched the whole thing. I now appreciate the ending. I thought it left a lot to interpretation. But when I watched Breaking Bad right after that, and then I watched Ozark and got all of those, and those are kind of my benchmarks for how a series should end. Lost was that was a tough one. That was a really, really tough one.
A lot of people say that.
I just, with Stranger Things, and I compare it to The Godfather 3, which in my book never happened. I'm a huge Godfather fan. I love the Godfather movies. Godfather 3 was terrible. It was an abomination. But when I've got Joyce and Nancy making decisions now, side characters now being pushed forward, main characters being pushed backwards, that was disappointing to me.
Well, what did you feel about let's say the pacing of it? Because
Slow.
I don't want to give too much away, but we kind of reach the climax of the series somewhere in the middle of that finale. And then there is a whole, I guess, old school, you would say, like the falling action or the denouement, the wrap up is happening.
I could have done without that.
Okay.
I honestly, I thought 2 hours for the finale is about what you expect.
Yep.
And it felt like that was just filler. Like they got to the end, and then it took 90 minutes, and it's like, wow, we've got another 30
we
minutes
got another 30
that we
minutes
have
to
to kill. And I still want to know how Max graduated after being in a coma for 18 months. There are just things about it that just didn't jive with me. The series was fantastic.
Right. No, the series
really
was great.
It was fantastic up to season 5.
I think that one of the things I liked about the series is that it made me feel in some ways like a kid again.
A little bit, yeah.
And they chose to cast folks who I remembered from childhood. So like Sean Astin making an appearance, even Matthew Modine being in it. Linda Hamilton was in this season. Her character didn't have much depth and I feel like
there was nothing
underused.
To it.
Really,
it felt like we'd recycled the Matthew Modine character and the doctor from season 2, whose name is completely
Paul Reiser.
Yeah, Paul Reiser. It felt like we'd recycled that.
Yes,
I thought Paul Reiser was great.
Oh, he was great.
I thought
in
he was
his
terrific
role.
in that. My daughter and I have a very soft spot for Bob.
Yeah,
we felt that the Demodogs. We felt that he deserved a better ending. The other thing, and this was. My daughter and I talked about this. My daughter is way into this thing. She kind of, for a minute, looked like 11. When 11 grew her hair out, that she kind of looked like that. We were promised, or the things that we had read leading up to it said that we were going to lose some characters.
Yes. Okay.
There are too many characters. There were way too many characters in this. By the end,
we kept kind of adding and adding.
We had a football team at the end of it.
You're right.
There was just too many, and every time you thought somebody was going to go, like, you wanted to feel that emotion, like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose this character. Never happened.
Never happened.
No.
It really didn't, because we almost had like a bingo card or like a checklist. We were like, this person's going to die, this person's going to die, this person's going to die. And we had already mentally prepared.
Right.
We were going to lose some people, and that was going to be okay. We're ready for it. And then it didn't play out like I thought it would.
That was a tough one. And my daughter and I have gone through this whole thing where, like, my favorite characters were Elle and Mike. I liked Elle and Mike. And
I did too. I mean,
but they got pushed to they were pushed to the periphery until the very end of season 5, and it was just disappointing.
yeah, I agree. I missed in the final episode. I missed the Demogorgons. I feel like the
Yes.
Demogorgons were a huge part. They were the first thing we saw
Mm-hmm.
come through from the Upside Down, and then they were absent in the finale.
Yeah.
I know we had other big monsters to flay, but
I know when it ended. I looked at my daughter sitting on the couch. We both looked at each other and went, "That's it?
yeah,
Like that's it? That's what we did?" And then of course afterwards you get the rumors that there's another episode coming, and you're like, "Okay, maybe we're gonna have this big, finale."
Right.
It didn't.
that was
happen.
all fluff, and I think people just didn't want it to end. There is a documentary series that I think might be streaming as of now. There's also, and I say this with a grain of salt because I don't know where I sit on. I'm on the fence on this, but there is an animated show coming
No.
that exists between seasons, right? So I think it's between season 2 and 3 or something like that.
We're less in this case would probably be more. And I
I think
understand.
so.
Look, there were some limitations. I mean, these kids were in their early teens,
Right.
when they got the jobs, and now they're in their 20s.
Yeah.
They're adults. Their parents are married. All of those things. So there are some limitations to what you can do, and in some cases you have to suspend belief.
Yes.
With some of the things they did, but. I don't know. We waited 3 years. I guess that's maybe my thing is we waited 3 years for that.
Yeah, we did. All of us collectively waited 3 years, and and then
I'm glad I did it. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad I did it. I didn't feel the same emotion that I felt at the end of Breaking Bad, which is what I was looking for, which may be unrealistic.
So I wonder then, have you started watching this new series called Pluribus?
I haven't. I'm going through my my mourning period
Okay.
with Stranger Things. I will get back into something at some point. I haven't found a show since Stranger Things that really has caught my attention. I know there are great ones out there. I do have a rule though, and I'm very ardent on this rule. I will not watch a show until it is completed.
Okay, that's a good. I have a very similar rule, so go ahead.
Former
explain.
women's coach Mike Neighbors and I, we talked about this one night, and my rule or his rule was. You can't. I don't want to go through these 3-year gaps.
Yeah.
Where I kind of forget. I go and I do other things. I see other shows. I want to be able to just bang it out the way that in my time.
Yeah.
Which is what I did with The Sopranos. Which is what I did with Breaking Bad. Which is what I did with Ozark. That was great. I do it in my time, and you stay current with the story. I can't do it until it's done. Like what is it? Not Landman. The other one, Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Just
Sure.
that one's going to finish up.
yeah.
And I'm ready to start that. I'm ready to get into that.
Where I sit with that is a similar vibe, but I know the rate at which I watch movies, and I feel like if you get to like season 2, episode 7, there's no way that I'm going to sit down and watch a whole season in a day. I just don't have the time to do that. So I feel like if you get far enough ahead of me, I'll be okay starting it before it's completed.
Now, two things. One, I can binge an entire show. If it really gets me, I can binge an entire season in a day.
I wish I
will
could.
do it. I did it with I guess it was episodes 12, 13, 14, and 15 of Breaking Bad, the final 4. I think I ended at 5 in the morning.
Wow.
And I was
That's
just
commitment.
enthralled. Now, what is your rule if you're watching a show with someone? If they go ahead of you, are you done with them?
So I have been the culprit before.
Really?
Well, yes, and I'll tell you why. It's because Jill, I'm watching it with my wife, she didn't really seem into the show that much, and then she went away on a trip over a weekend, and I was like,
You can't do it.
So I'm gonna
because there's a lot of things in your marriage she's going to start questioning.
Yeah, and she was like, "You did what?" And I can't even remember what show it was. That's how memorable it was, honestly. But that has definitely happened. Since then, we've dialed it back. So like. At this point, she has her shows that she watches. I have my shows that I watches, and then we have a bunch that we watch together. But I know I can't.
No, you can't.
If I need a fix, then I need to go to my show category. We can't do the dual category.
If you start a show with someone, you watch it together. You have to. You can't, no matter how long the break is in between episodes, you can't go forward. Otherwise, you're outside the circle of trust. How can they trust you?
Yeah, how can they ever trust me again? I don't know. Somehow I worked my way back into her good graces, I guess. I wanted to tell you about this show, Pluribus, before we go to a quick break here, because it is written by the people who made Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay.
So it is out right now on Apple TV, and you can watch it. The whole first season is done. It's an interesting premise. The premise is that the world all becomes a collective mind. everyone.
Okay.
You are all almost like robotic or aliens. They all speak this. They all know each other's knowledge. I guess is that you have group knowledge, and then there are like 7 people in the world who this disease didn't catch, and so we follow the actions of one of these women who's she didn't get it, right, and so she's trying to learn how to be a person in a society and make connections with these other people in the world who haven't been affected while this weird virus is taking over humanity. That is the
Pluribus.
Pluribus, yeah.
And season 1's complete, so
Season
I have to
1's done.
So I have to wait until season 5's done to get into this.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. If you're gonna wait, yes. But there's several fun sort of guest appearances in it. John Cena makes a memorable appearance. There's just a lot going on in the show. I found it interesting. It is slow at parts, which I think that's the biggest drawback to this show. But if you can wade through that, I don't mind slow stuff because
Season 1's a setup.
season 1 is always the same.
Have to set it all up. Season 2 and 3 better be good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to lose your audience.
And that's what Stranger Things had going for it. Seasons 2 and 3. I mean, you had Sean Astin came back, Bob. Season 2, they had the Demodogs and Dart and all that stuff. R.I.P. Bob. And then you had the mall, which was an anchor point for that third one.
season.
Right, because and the battle at the mall at the end of season 3, very memorable. Introduced to Maya Hawke's character in that season.
Love Robin.
Yeah.
Love Robin.
Who doesn't love
Scoops
Robin?
Ahoy.
Yeah,
Love it.
dude. And Squawk Radio and all of the stuff that they did in this last season too. I mean, she's a standout, and I feel like almost maybe above everybody else. I mean, given who her parents are,
Sure.
she's got a big career ahead.
Yes,
of her.
she does. Yes, she does. She's talented, and she can play a lot of different roles.
And she can sing. Did you know that most of those people I know, Steve, Jonathan, her, and I think Nancy all have music careers.
The character who played the guy who played Steve, and his name's escaping me at the moment. He played at the Amp.
Yeah,
a couple of it was a couple
you're
of years
so
ago.
right. I'd forgotten
Yeah.
about that. What is his name?
Joe something.
Joe Carey.
Yeah, Joe Carey.
Yeah,
There you go.
Joe Carey. So anyway, hugely talented cast. Obviously, the Duffer Brothers knew what they were doing when they cast those people. So
Now I'm very careful with watching like pilots and things because I thought Manifest was going to be one of the most interesting shows I'd ever. And then we've got superpowers, we're blowing stuff up, and you completely lost me. The idea of a plane disappearing into a wormhole and then reemerging was fascinating to me. I was like, yes, we got something, and then they just completely lost.
Did you
me.
watch the show Heroes when it was on?
No. I went through a phase where I coming out of COVID where I didn't want to watch any more TV.
So Heroes was great for the first season, and then they just fumbled everything.
Yeah, you can get too far ahead of yourself.
That's it. I know. Okay, stay with us because coming back, we're going to talk about several other. We got some trending news to talk about. We also got some sports to talk about. Zach's hanging out, and you should too. It's all happening right here on Right About Now.
2, 3, 4.
Welcome back, everybody. Jason and Zach hanging out with you. Thanks for joining us on Right About Now. Zach, thanks for hanging out.
Man,
talking
I appreciate it. I love doing this.
Yeah, it's just fun, right?
Yeah, I talk for a living, so you just get a little Red Bull in me and let me go. Just wind me up and let me go.
That is your drink of choice. I've seen you with a Red Bull several times.
Early in the mornings, you need to get I'm like an old Buick when I get up in the morning. I got to warm up. You got to put the high octane gas in it. Once we're up and running, we're good. Yeah, and then boy, the crash is going to be really.
The crash
difficult.
is real.
The crash is real.
So I wanted to talk about this with you. We were talking about all things streaming sort of earlier. Is streaming services, are they worth it anymore? Because, I mean, just as we all know, there was a time everybody was cutting the cord, right? We were all getting these streaming services, and they were cheaper than having, AT&T Uverse or whatever, service you were, Dish Network. Now, I don't know where we are with that. I'm reading reports, consumer reports saying that, everything's going up. Paramount Plus is set to raise their prices following the merger. Everybody's merging these big conglomerates now. So what are your thoughts on that, Zach?
It was funny. I was part of the ESPN blackout on YouTube TV. I was one of their first 5,000 customers.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was one of the original YouTube, and I went back and I looked at my bill, and the first bill I paid was $39.99.
Yeah.
You know, it's now right around 90.
Yes.
Is for just basic service, and that falls in line with what basic cable was. The only reason for we go back and forth on this, and I have a lot of thoughts on the streaming industry. Sports are the reason you go to live TV.
Yes.
Live, I'm talking live. That is everybody's appointment watching. You can DVR everything else, but sports are the reason that you need live TV, and that's why you see entities like ESPN and Apple now, and all of the streaming services. YouTube bought the NFL package. That's why they're investing so much in sports. Is appointment viewing, and it's almost like a drug in a lot of ways. Like we're addicts. We have to have our sports, and this is going to be going on, I think, for a long time. I think we're going to get to that point to where cable was, where there were like 3 or 4 cable companies servicing all of this, and then you get into the rights arguments and all of that stuff, and people get tired of it. And you're bouncing around, and everybody's got a little piece of something. There was a study out that said if you wanted to watch every NFL game this year, you would have to pay $1,500. That would include the NFL ticket.
Yep.
You'd have to get Netflix because they had the Christmas games. The Amazon's got Thursday plus. They've got a playoff game, and then you're going to have to go get your basic service. My daughter's a huge NBA fan. We went and bought the League Pass. Well, you can't just buy League Pass anymore. You have to have League Pass plus Prime. You know, the League Pass is on on Amazon Prime, so you have to have that in order to watch that.
Grief.
And it's you get to the point like you can't watch everything that's on.
Right.
And you get to the point where you have to sort of pick and choose. But
that's it.
It's become I treat it like discretionary spending.
Yeah.
I'll cancel one, pick up another,
one.
And I've got a little calendar. Like, okay, it's time to go pick up this. I'm a big Major League Baseball fan.
Yeah.
So I've got to go get the MLB package in order to watch the Boston Red Sox, my team, because they're not. I can't see them every day.
I hear a lot of people who do the thing where they cancel, and then like 3 months later, whoever it is will be asking you to come back so you can get it at a discount.
Sure.
Have you?
Yeah,
done that?
I canceled YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to watch a particular football game, and it wasn't going to be on the weekend. That it was blacked out on ESPN, so I switched over to Hulu, and now I'm getting. They're trying to get me back, and it's like, listen, I don't want to go through this every 3 years with you.
Right.
Where, especially during football season.
Just drop the price.
You want to do it in August? All right, fine.
Right.
But I don't want to do this in October. I think what we're eventually going to see is ESPN is pushing everybody to their platform, which I'm good. And it's not just because I work for ESPN Arkansas. I have Hulu now, and I get all of the ESPNs. Take the Arkansas game the other night against Ole Miss. Started late because of the game that was in front of it, the Mississippi State-Oklahoma game. It was 2 clicks, and ESPN Plus comes with it. I'm there for the start of the game. I never miss a second, and that's kind of what you're looking for if you're a sports fan. Then you get into the whole entertainment part of it, which is which streaming service has the show that I like.
Right.
And you wind up like I think I have 4 streaming services right now. I'll have 3 at the end of May.
And which one can you ditch? Which one can you let go for now? And we still go old school with like a satellite dish for our cable. So like we get all the major networks like here at KNWA, Fox 24, all of that stuff. We get it so I can switch over to live TV and watch it if I want to. But now everything is streaming. Even those games that are coming on, ABC, NBC, whatever, you can go to their networks and they're obviously going to be streaming on there too. So it's just a bit of a game changer. And you're right. We're at a place where you got to pick and choose.
Yeah, and with KNWA, I mean, you've got Sunday Night Football.
Right.
People want to watch that. That's the biggest game of the week.
Yeah.
And you've got to make plans. If you're an NFL person, that you have now. For me, a Notre Dame fan, KNWA is absolutely necessary.
Yes.
Because I have to have my Notre Dame football Saturdays.
Right.
So
you remember when that was an actual thing? Like, is it still a thing? I don't even know. They used to show every Notre Dame game on NBC.
They've had the Notre Dame contract since '91, and they've only shown the home games. But it was a bigger deal then because nobody else had that sort of deal.
That's right.
Where NBC had purchased the rights to their home games. Now NBC has the Big Ten as well, and it's Notre Dame, then Big Ten, or Big Ten, then Notre Dame.
Why do you think they did that with Notre Dame? Because you're going to say because Notre Dame's the best.
Well, I think at the time. Now, I don't want to go too far into a rabbit hole, but in 1983, the NCAA lost a court case. You could only be on national television a certain number of times up until 1983.
Okay.
They lose the court case. Now the networks come in. ABC used to have one game. CBS wasn't a player, and then you'd have the bowl games. That was it. That was the extent of college football. You might get a game here and there, local broadcast, but network-wise, you can only be on twice.
Yeah, I remember listening to all of the
Absolutely.
Razorbacks, and I still listen to this day. I really prefer listening than watching.
In '83,
old school
college football, CBS picks it up. ABC's got it. Other channels are picking these games up, and all of a sudden, people figured or learned that there was an interest in college football. Notre Dame was the biggest property, and at the time that deal was struck, they had just won the national title 2 years prior. They were in the national, they were in the national title game the year before. It made sense. You had the biggest property in the world. Now everybody's on TV. It's not as big a deal because every game is on TV everywhere.
Everybody has some stake in the thing, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Well, since we've already kind of launched into it, I guess let's tease a little bit ahead. With sports, we can break it down, right? What do we want to talk about first? Where do you want to go first?
I think the biggest story here is Arkansas basketball.
Okay.
The men's team is flying high. They're doing great, and they've hit kind of a softer portion of their schedule, and it's going to get tougher. I don't think the SEC is as deep as people think it is.
Yeah,
Kentucky's
not this year.
down. I think Arkansas has an opportunity here. It was funny. We were looking at the analytics, and there's a thing called the Basketball Power Index, which sort of ranks the schools. And Arkansas was predicted in an 18-game league schedule to go 8-10. Well, now we're through a couple of games. Now they're on that 10-11 win line. You get to about 12 wins, you're talking about a conference title.
Right.
You're talking about a regular season conference title. So Arkansas is doing exactly what a John Calipari team does. Injuries, attrition, fatigue, all of that stuff's going to come into play. You got to start watching minutes on Darius Acuff. He's great, but freshmen hit a wall at some point.
Right.
Whether that wall is in January, whether it's in February, whether it's in the tournament, you're going to hit that wall at some point. Who's the 2? Who's the 3? If Acuff's off, who do they go to next? That's going to be the thing for John Calipari to figure out. But they're 9 deep, legitimately 9 deep, 9 players deep, and if they can hold it together, they're a top seed nationally, and they're going to make a run at this. I've felt all along they were kind of like an Elite 8 team, Sweet 16, Elite 8. I'm now leaning towards Elite 8's the floor. They could
go
to the
higher
final,
than
they
that.
could get to the Final Four in the national title game.
What do you think? So, was it a surprise to you last year when they went all the way to the Sweet 16? Was that a little bit of a surprise, or was it just kind of expected?
With John Calipari, no. But if you had given that squad to anybody else, yeah, that would have been a surprise. But I feel like they were year one. He put that squad together late, really, really late.
Well, that was evidenced by the fact that when we started conference play, they were like 0-5, right?
Yeah,
or something like that.
And he didn't get them all in Fayetteville until April and May and June, and they had the summer thing and all of that. But he puts together elite level talent, and what you're hoping for is that it all meshes together nicely in 1 year. Right now, they're hot. They didn't look great against Houston on over the break,
or Duke. Cam
Duke,
Boozer kind of ran
or Michigan
around.
State for that matter.
Right,
Teams
that's true.
Teams
Early
that have
on,
bigs that can muscle them a little bit have given them trouble.
What do you think the answer is there? Because they have tall people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have wide body, big presence down low.
Trevin Brazil is a 3 playing in a 4's body.
Yes.
He's a perimeter guy.
And that's evidenced by the fact that he can drain some threes,
Sure.
particularly when the Hogs need him, get him the ball, and he's shooting it.
But then you get he's not a great low post defender. He's serviceable. He's good down there, but I think his best, he's a great weak side help defender where he'll come down, double you, block a shot, grab a rebound from coming away from his man. You need more out of Pringle and Ewan. You have to have more out of those two guys. It's why you brought them in.
And Pringle has SEC experience.
Yeah,
Is he the one
he
I'm
knocked
thinking
Arkansas out of the tournament, the SEC tournament last year. And that's why he's on the squad. He killed Arkansas last year in the SEC tournament when he was at South Carolina. And there's going to be a period of adjustment. I mean, look at Adu last year.
Yeah.
Adu was a really good big at Tennessee, came in, really didn't do a whole lot here. You're hoping that Ewan, and we see flashes of it now every now and then, you're just looking for consistency.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that there is Hog fans are a specific type of fans, and I am one myself, right?
Yes, they are.
Do you think there is a little bit of elation, or I don't know, we just love the fact that Kentucky is doing so poorly right now?
This is the checking your ex's Instagram.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
you take a little bit of glee.
Doing that.
And I don't necessarily understand it
Me
because
either.
Cal chose you.
Yeah, I know. I'm
So
like,
it's not like they did anything to you.
right.
They're just Kentucky. However, Kentucky is one of the Kentucky basketball, and I have a whole list on this. Kentucky is one of the top 5 most obnoxious basketball fan bases there is. Arkansas is 4.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, Derek and I were talking about this yesterday. Arkansas fans are miserable when they lose.
Yeah.
They're insufferable when they win. And
Yes.
there's very, very little in between.
There's
Most
no- you're
fan bases are.
Yes.
But I think everybody enjoys kicking. And it's not just Arkansas. Everybody loves kicking Kentucky when they're down.
Yeah.
Because they carry themselves with such an air
Right.
that this is their league.
But in some ways, do you feel that John Calipari brought that to Kentucky? Were they there before Cal?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they were.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't even remember.
The interesting thing about John Calipari is it's not an Arkansas thing with him. It's a John Calipari thing. You're at Calipari U. He has very little to do with what color jersey you're wearing.
Right.
It's his squad, his system. And when you listen to him talk, he very rarely mentions Arkansas.
Right.
He never says the word. It's about the team, and they just happen to wear your name on the front of it.
Yeah.
And that was the trade. If you remember prior to this, everybody's talking, well, we've got to have somebody with Arkansas experience or SEC experience. You got to have somebody with Arkansas ties. No, you don't.
No.
What you have to have is a guy who knows how to win.
Yes.
And then you become part of the fabric of the university. Nolan had no Arkansas ties.
No. Right.
He's the best to ever do it.
But now he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so interesting. I'll say this, and then we'll go to a break, come back in a sec. Last year, during the tournament, we had taken a little bit of a break. We went down to Key West, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So Arkansas had, I think these were 2 different days. Arkansas had just beaten St. John's,
Mm-hmm.
right? I remember watching that from our hotel. I was stoked, whatever. It was awesome.
Beating Patino's always a good thing.
Yes. So then the next day, of course, I'm wearing, I don't really go full hog when I'm out, but I will give a nod to our team. So I had on a red shirt and I had on a Razorbacks cap, right? Went downtown and we go in, we get a seat at this place. And then it wasn't until we sat down at the bar that I realized this is the Kentucky Wildcat Watch Party. And it was packed wall to wall with obnoxious Kentucky Wildcat
They are that way.
fans.
They are obnoxious.
And here I am in my Arkansas stuff, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, don't look at me! Don't look."
Well, Arkansas beat them earlier in the year, so
I know.
who cares?
I know who cares.
Who cares?
Is the right
Wear your
idea.
colors.
So interesting. Okay, well, when we come back, let's talk about football.
Oh, boy.
Got a lot of football to talk
Lot
about.
of football.
College football playoff, NFL playoffs. What's happening with Silverfield and the Razorbacks? Zach's going to break it all down for us when we come back. Stay with us.
1, 2, 3, 4. Two, three, four.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We still got Zach hanging out with us, and we have completely immersed ourselves in sports now. So we were talking about Arkansas basketball when we before the break. Thought we'd come back and talk football. So let's launch into the college football playoff, where we are now, what's working with this playoff system, what needs to change. Well, I know we could talk for an hour on that. So what do you think?
I love the pacing of the college football playoff needs to be tweaked. People are starting to question the necessity of the conference championship games. Everybody argues about the 13th data point, that conference championship game. Got to have that. The only team left in the college football playoffs Final Four that played in a conference championship game is Indiana. So that doesn't necessarily hold water. I think, having gone through it with my team last year, it's too long. The playoff is way too long. I'd love to see it wrapped up New Year's Day, best case scenario, 10 days later, at the very latest. It's way too long.
Does that mean less teams or just play the games faster?
Well, I think you have to play one less regular season game. I think it needs to wrap up on Thanksgiving weekend, give everybody a week, then start the playoff.
Okay.
And I think you could get to January 1 or January 10 and it rapid fire the
Boom, boom, boom.
playoffs. And
Yeah.
with the rosters being bigger, it's not like the NFL where your attrition starts to set in and injuries are going to happen, but it doesn't affect you as much as it might an NFL team who's got to go pick up somebody off the street. Pacing's got to be the big thing. Then you've got to get the teams right.
Okay, yeah, and you were lamenting earlier that Alabama made it into the playoff this year, but that's been a common thing. It's like, why did they get in?
They got in off their name, legacy in their name.
Sure.
And the guy who ran it, Hunter Yurachek, if you look at the composition of the playoff committee, it's a lot of SEC bias in there. Tulane and James Madison should not have been in there. There's no argument you can make that these are the 12 best teams in the country.
So that's been my biggest sort of, I don't know, gripe the whole time is like, yes, they're the best teams in their conference, and yes, they're ranked number 17. They are not the 17th best
close.
team in the country. So like even the ranking system frustrates me because I feel like you could take a 5-5 SEC team and they're gonna slaughter James Madison.
Sure.
Right? Or whatever.
Ole Miss and Oregon got first-round buys by getting Tulane and James Madison. It's essentially what you did. These are games that you schedule in early September as preseason games. That's what essentially
it's
what
your
you got.
fluff game for an SEC
These are not
calendar.
the 12 best teams. And when you know this, I mean, when you get 12 people in a room, everybody has a bias. Everybody sees things differently.
Sure.
And when you get that sort of bias of people with agendas, Hunter Yurachek obviously has an agenda to protect his conference. You put when Jeff Long was on there, he's got an agenda to protect his conference or whoever is running it. It doesn't matter who it was.
Do you think that in some ways they're trying to get in good at being an Arkansas representative with the SEC?
No, I don't. I
No,
don't
nothing to
think, I
do
don't
with
think
that.
the league recognizes Arkansas anymore. To be
I
perfectly honest with you,
agreed.
the way the league, the Alabama thing is sort of the telling marker for me.
Right.
Alabama had no business being in
The playoff.
the playoff. I mean, they got hammered by Georgia. That's an indication that you're not one of the best 12 teams in the country. I have no argument with Miami. I have a big argument with Tulane, and I have a huge argument with James Madison. Those three teams should not have been in. Now, and Nick Saban said this. We passed up Texas at Oregon in the first round, and we passed up Notre Dame going to Ole Miss for Tulane and James Madison. That doesn't work for me.
Yep.
That to me tells me that and I do think that we overvalue some teams when they get into the playoff. Look at Texas Tech. They go play Oregon in the Orange Bowl. They can't put a point on the board.
Right. That was surprising.
Yeah,
Actually.
was it, or were they simply a product of a soft schedule because they didn't play anybody?
Yes.
The best team that they played was BYU, and they beat them twice.
Yes.
And BYU, frankly, couldn't move the football on a ninth grade team.
And given I hadn't watched any Texas Tech ball all year, but all I heard about Texas Tech was they had got a great offense. They're going to be able to move the ball. This is going to be a fun game. And then
yeah, and the committee sent Miami down to Texas A&M, which is crazy, but then gave Oregon and Ole Miss a bye in the first round. That to me, that's not what this was intended to be.
Right. Yes. Okay, so some tweaking needs to be done there.
Absolutely. You've got to figure out who the 12 best teams are and let them play for the college football national championship.
How much is Indiana going to win by?
Here's the thing about Indiana. Their talent level is not great. If you look at the composition of their roster, it's not great. They're playing above their pay grade.
They're playing together.
At some point, it's going to catch up with you. When does it, are they able to sort of, I'm not a huge Signetti fan. I think a lot of what he does is fake. I think it's fake tough guy stuff. They handled Ohio State.
That's an interesting take. I'm not saying I love him, but the sort of Nick Saban, Kurt Signetti, stone-faced, I like that.
Saban didn't run his mouth like Signetti does. At some point,
Signetti feels like he needs to almost justify himself because every reporter is saying, "Hey, you don't look very happy," and then he has a whole story about it.
Right? Yeah, he's
I feel like Nick would have been like, "I'm not answering that
he's
question."
the guy, and again, I have personal bias against Signetti because he went in last year in the playoff, ran his mouth. My team, beat them like a drum, and we never heard from him again. I'm walk quietly, carry a big stick kind of guy, and I think at some point they're going to get caught. Do I think it's going to be Oregon? No. Do I think it could be Miami? Yes, I do, because Miami's front four is legit.
No, I have liked Miami since the start. I'm glad they made it into the playoff, first of all, because I'm like, they are a playoff contender.
Sure.
I know that they had some missteps in the season, but also, Carson Beck, he's an old man. He's like, this is
he's like 38.
Yeah, his 7th year playing football or whatever. And I get that, but he's been there before with Georgia. right? Was he?
Well, he was quarterback last year until he got hurt.
Right,
And then they
he
put
was.
Gunnar Stockton in. They
But
made
didn't
a
he
choice.
transferred from
Georgia to Miami.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
he's
what I thought.
he's a guy that I feel like is a ticking time bomb. Like
Yeah.
at some point he's going to make a mistake. And that wasn't, obviously against Mississippi, he was pretty good in that one.
Pretty good.
But his career has been littered with mistakes at crucial times.
Right.
I think they're the best or the most complete team, but he scares me.
Yeah.
Indiana, I think at some point is going to get exposed. Is it Oregon? Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like they play physical enough, but Oregon's defense is nasty.
Yeah.
And
so true.
that game's going to be a lot of fun.
So you're looking forward to that
Yeah, I am.
one. Football, NFL football playoffs, lots of action happening both this weekend and then, on from that. So who do you like this year?
It's a $1 million question. Like, who's the best team? Who
Yeah,
knows?
who knows, right? One of the things I like about it, and I'll say this, I like the fact that we are not seeing the same old teams at the top that we have seen, and to some extent that's true for the college football playoff, but specifically true, we got the Seattle Seahawks are in there. They haven't been there
Denver's a one.
10 years. Denver, yeah, we haven't had them up there. The Jaguars, so there's some exciting things happening there. Both the Packers and Chicago, who are going to play each other,
Again.
both of those teams are I don't know that they've been they've not looked as good as they look this year in previous years.
Every team has a fatal flaw.
Yes,
Nobody's
for sure.
You don't look at anybody and go, well, they're head and shoulders above everybody else. I honestly, I don't know. I mean, you've got the Rams and Carolina's the first game on the weekend, and you go, well, which way? I love Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I
but
did
you've
too.
got to go to Carolina, and
Yeah.
Carolina's the surprise of the NFL.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you who the best team is. I think I'd like Seattle all year long, but now you've got a week layoff. And they're
Right.
going to, but you get to go home. They're going to be at home the whole way, and that 12th man is
I'm
legit.
happy for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I like to see he's a good dude. I like to see him doing well. He did so great at Minnesota, and then they decided,
Yeah, they want J.J. McCarthy.
We want J.J. McCarthy. And now he's gone to Seattle, and look at where they are. It's kind of like how I wished Ole Miss would have won this thing because Lane Kiffin decided to go to LSU. A lot of people were like, oh, you left a quality team
He
to go
did.
join another quality team. or
Philadelphia, San Francisco is going to tell me a lot. If the Eagles are dialed in, the Eagles will be someone to deal with.
whatever. Okay.
The defending Super Bowl champs. But if they go when they lose and they're out, well, gosh, who knows?
So let's talk Eagles for a sec. Can you tell me what's going on with the tush push?
What's funny is it's an old single wing play.
Yeah, it's a very old play.
It's dangerous. Chris Jones, the defensive tackle from the Chiefs, got hurt in the Super Bowl last year during that. It's dangerous. I don't necessarily, but it's a quarterback sneak.
Because
how do you outlaw plays?
I know, because now they're starting to find ways to penalize teams for running it if you don't run it by the book. Because I guess there's injury that could be involved, like what happened with Chris Jones. So they're really, I feel like they've taken a spyglass to this thing to try to dissect it and figure out how do we minimize
it's
teams using
an easy fix, which is you can't push the runner, you can't aid the runner. Put that rule back in, and the tush push goes away, and it becomes a quarterback sneak again. I mean, that's the quick fix.
Right.
But I hate the idea of banning something that was creative.
Yeah.
And was thinking outside the box. I hate to do that, but if guys are getting injured, you have to take a look at it.
How come? Because now we're seeing other teams have their own version of it, but Philadelphia has had so much success with it. What are they doing right that other teams don't want to replicate exactly what they're doing?
First you got
Jalen
Hurts. You got
Hurts?
Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts, and then their interior, that center guard combination is really, really big, and then you get big guys pushing from behind, big strong guys, and you just move the pile. And
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts they've practiced it enough. What I do like that they've done this year is they've got plays off of it, where
Yeah.
they line up like it looks like it, then they run a reverse, and they've got a pass play off of it, they've got run plays off of it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're expanding the playbook on that, but it's a quarterback sneak going forward. If guys are getting hurt, I think they probably need to look at it. There's an easy way to fix it with the competition committee.
Okay. Well, another rule. I got all these rules because there's rule changes every year, and I watch from home, and I'm like, what is going on with this? I don't know if this is college or pro. I can't remember, but it's the thing where the clock doesn't stop depending on if you're doing forward progress or when you go out of bounds. Explain that to me.
It's a TV rule. Games were getting ridiculously long. I actually did a paper on this in college.
Okay.
The average length of a college football game I think from between 2010 and 2020 was like a Big 12 games were going like 4 hours and 40 minutes.
What?
Way too long because
Yeah.
of all the passing. So
that
they
just,
had to
that
figure
just
out
screams injury
exactly,
potential.
and you're running 100 plays, and it was getting to be TV was complaining because you've got windows in TV. You've got the 11 o'clock window, the 2:30 window, the 6 window, and then the late window. And games were bleeding over, and people were missing half a quarter or half a half of a game. So that was sort of the impetus of this, was to keep the clock moving. Also, it's a television show.
Yeah.
People get bored.
Yeah.
You have to fit this in a tight window. The NFL has done a great job. Major League Baseball has done a great job with the pitch
Yes,
clock.
I agree with that.
Game times have gone from like 3.5 hours. Games are now
2.5.
being completed in under 3 hours,
Yeah.
2:46,
Yep.
2:47, and games are moving along.
Yeah.
And college football made some changes to that as well to keep the clock moving. It still takes a while. Yeah, college games, I think, are around 3.5, 3:35
I
now.
would say 3.5, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But NFL games, you can get an NFL game done in an hour or 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know,
you
you're-
get 2:45.
They give you a 3-hour window,
Yeah.
really, and then they'll have their,
They very rarely miss.
Yeah, no, they're right on that. Speaking of right on that, let's take a break and timing and all that stuff. Let's take a break. We come back, we're going to hit Razorback football. You don't want to hear what Zach has to say. Stay with us. That's right after this break.
2, 3, 4. Two, three, four.
All right, everybody, welcome back. I told Zach he's got 3 minutes to talk to us about Razorback football. I know we could go all day on that one, too. So what do we need to know? It seems like a lot of things have happened just in the portal this week. What is our outlook moving into the summer months?
Patience. That's what we need right now, is let Ryan Silverfield and his staff do their thing. This is they had 70 portal guys last year at Memphis. He knows what he's doing. You hope that the evaluations are solid. They picked up some big commitments this week. It's picked up speed, but patience. Year one is not going to look like year 5. You hope that it's a slow climb up. This is a 2-10 team. There aren't a lot of guys on this roster that you wanted to keep anyway. So let them work. Let them bring their guys in. Yes, I know it's a lot of a group of 4 guys or group of 5 guys, but let them get their system in place. Let them get the home state recruiting, which is really picked up. That's the kind of stuff that I think Ryan Silverfield is excelling at, and he's doing quite well at. But it's going to take a while. I don't think you're going 10-2 next year.
What do you say to those Hog fans who are ready for us to go 10-2, or even just 8-7? I feel like a lot of folks would think it was a victory season if we were just able to get over 500.
Yeah, I think that's the first step, is get back to bowl eligibility.
Yeah.
Get that. That schedule next year is rough. Really,
Right.
really, really, really tough. So you're looking for incremental improvement. I don't think it's going to go from 2-10 to 10-2. It might,
Right.
but I think 6-6. Let's get there first. Get to 6 wins. Then we'll worry about the rest of it.
Do you think, I'll put you on the spot, that he was a good hire for this program?
Ooh. I think he's the hire you could get at the time. 2-10 program, you weren't going to get one of the top candidates. The James Franklin thing was clearly smoke and mirrors. I think he's a good coach. He has a proven track record. He wins games at Memphis. Now you've got to do it, in one of the toughest.
school.
Yeah, you got to do it in one of the toughest conferences in America.
Right. So
And you're starting at the bottom. You're the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to climb over some teams to get to where you want to go. But man, you got to get out and you got to support them, and you got to do the things. You got to be there.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges, is not only winning the team, but winning the fan base back, because over the last couple of seasons,
It's a jaded group.
It's a jaded group. The stadium felt empty at times. Nobody really even acted like they really gave a hoot,
Including the players.
Including the players,
Yeah, the Notre
literally.
Dame game, I think, was rock bottom.
Yeah.
From that point forward, they gave up. They didn't
Even
want to be. They didn't want to be there.
I even think, honestly, when he beat us at Memphis, I think that
was a gut punch.
was a gut punch, right? And that
Wow,
was
yeah.
before the Notre Dame
That was
game.
the week before.
Right? So I feel like they came out of that losing in that stadium and were like, I don't even know why I'm here.
The good news is I think we're over the Bobby Petrino nostalgia era.
Oh.
I think we're finally going to be able to put some dirt on that and be done with it.
And watch him go have huge success at North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that
Belichick.
thing is probably going to blow up.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We'll have to have Zach come back during football season when the Tar Heels will run in the table and tell us what he thinks about that. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, we will be back next week. Can't be right about everything, but you can be right about now. We'll see you next time, everybody.